got this huge goal, I'm gonna get my life together. Why don't I throw another goal in there, and another goal, and another goal? And by the end of November, I'm just gonna be this idealized version of myself. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Simplicity is better than overcomplicating things. We're doing a full-blown Preptober reset. I know you guys are probably thinking, Anna, there are only 2 days left in Preptober. And I know, that's plenty of time for me. I'm a procrastinator. I don't start anything until the night before, so this is actually early for me. But before I dive in, a quick introduction and recap, because I forgot to do this in my last video, and it was kind of awkward. Hi, I'm Anna. I'm a full-time book editor and indie author. I currently have 1 book published, and I am working on its sequel. That is the manuscript that I will be referring to pretty much throughout the entirety of this video. As of last week, I hit the 600-page marker in the manuscript, which is currently about 700 pages long. So I have around 100 pages left in the draft, or so I believed. These right here are scene cards. Some of them represent an entire chapter, but this is the tangible representation of what I have left to revise for this draft. It has been way too easy for me to look at this stack and think, oh, well, that's a lot, but all I have to really work on right now is one of these at a time. So last night I did something drastic. I opened Pandora's box. I have seen what cannot be unseen, and that is exactly how many chapters and scenes I have left to revise. And of those, how many need to be completely rewritten or written from scratch. And let me tell you, there's a lot of them. Actually, I would venture to say that almost all of these need to be rewritten. So that's great. So if my goal is to finish the rest of this by the end of the year, by my calculations, I'm going to have to pull off a miracle. Unless I decide to commit to a full Preptober reset. I have done writing resets in the past. This is actually a reset that's kind of similar to the one that I featured in my very first video on this channel. I will link a card wherever it is meant to be in one of these corners. I don't know. If I can find it myself to hit the factory reset button and completely recalibrate my approach to the next couple of months, I think I might be able to pull this off. But it's going to require a complete overhaul, or in other words, a Preptober reset. If you are like me, if you have procrastinated until the last minute and it's the end of Preptober and you have all of these big goals for November, this is the video for you. Calm down. I'm talking to myself. We've got this. We can do this. I've got some strategies. So let's dive into those. I'm gonna put these away because they're scaring me. I think it's really easy to look at November and think, I've got this huge goal, I'm gonna get my life together. Why don't I throw another goal in there, and another goal, and another goal? And by the end of November, I'm just gonna be this idealized version of myself. And all of my goals are gonna be accomplished. If that's not you, you're lucky, because if that is like you, then you're like me. And I don't know if that's a good thing. Part of the Preptober or the writer reset is recalibrating these goals and getting realistic about exactly what they are and what you're looking to accomplish. So part of this for me has been recognizing that this is no longer a final draft. We've all seen that meme of a horse that is like perfectly drawn on one side and then is a stick figure on the other. That to me would unfortunately be a great visual representation of this draft. The first 80% of it is superb. I would honestly say it's publishing ready. It's almost perfect. But the last 20% is all going to be first draft material because I'm going to be drafting it all next month. By almost every reasonable metric, it is not okay to call a final draft if 20% of it is first drafted material. So I am recalibrating. This is not a final draft anymore. And in many ways, just saying that out loud kind of liberates me a little bit. I am emotionally and psychologically ready to revise the ending if I need to. That being said, I also take comfort in the fact that the first 80% is so polished and so clean that it's quite literally proofreading ready. Going forward, I'm not going to be calling this a final draft anymore. I'm just going to be calling it what I like to call an aft or an almost final draft. And the reason I'm confident that it'll be an aft instead of like a draft that needs to be drafted again, and then you're at the final draft, is because these last 100 pages or so are all so meticulously outlined. There's absolutely no way that I'm going to be in the middle of these revisions and think, oh my God, I've thought of a better ending. I'm gonna have to part ways with my outline. No, it's not gonna happen. Without further ado, let's talk about the strategies that I'm going to use in this specific Preptober reset. Now again, these are similar to the strategies that I've used in my first video, which was all about prioritizing writing and finding a better and healthier work-life balance. These are similar because these strategies work for me. They are my fail-safe. They have worked for me for years. Let's get to the first strategy. This strategy works better for me than almost anything on earth, and that is waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Cue the groaning. I know. I am one of those people. I'm early to rest, early to rise. It is my natural circadian rhythm. If you're a night owl, that's fine. Apply this philosophy, but to the other part of the day. I've already been waking up at around 5 o'clock in the morning for the last week, and I feel like a different person. I'm getting so much more done. It's absolutely the best. I highly encourage it. I know that it's kind of hard to get your mind around at first. Anyway, moving on. Waking up at 5 a.m. is number 1 on my list. Number 2 on my list is making sure that I get at least 9 hours of sleep. There's a ton of scientific data on the relationship between sleep and creativity. I have struggled with chronic insomnia for most of my life, so I get this intense comparison of reading work that I produced when I was sleep deprived versus reading work that I produced when I was well rested. It's like 2 different authors wrote the same story. The third part of my Preptober reset is to just get daily movement. I think this is obvious. It's easy. However, my one stipulation is I do go to the gym every day, but I would like to get movement outside every single day as well, because we all know I'm a tree hugger. I need to go outside. I need to hug my trees. The fourth strategy in my Preptober reset is also quite simple, and that is just read every single night before bed. And that takes us to the 5th and final point in my Preptober reset routine, and that is notifying everybody in my life of the goals that I'm looking to achieve in November. And this is more of a service to myself than it is to others. I am letting them know that I'm going to be MIA. I'm going to be flying under the radar. I am going to be unreachable and off grid. This is especially important, I think, during November too, because it is a part of the holidays. And if I'm going to achieve the goals that I have set for the next 2 months, I'm not going to be able to take any time off for the holidays, pretty much at all. I'm going to have to be finishing about 3 chapters a week, which is incredible for me because I tend to take at least a week per chapter. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot. It just helps. You know what I mean? I think you're just setting yourself free of any susceptibility to feeling guilty over focusing on your work. It's just nice. People are usually very good about it. So for me, that's a big part of my process. Now, do you see why I say you can accomplish all of this in 2 days? If I'm able to incorporate all of this into my life on a daily basis, this Preptober reset is gonna kickstart my writing and it's going to set me up for success. With that being said, I'm gonna make myself a nice decaf latte, I'm gonna sit down at my desk, and I'm going to finesse and polish and tighten up a chapter that I finished yesterday. This is not gonna include a lot of actual drafting or writing. I'm just quite literally going through it, adding comments, adjusting things, fine-tuning things. Tomorrow is going to be the first official day of this Preptober reset. I will obviously be including you, but for now, let's cut to some B-roll of working on this chapter and getting the ball rolling with this entire process. This is a honey rose matcha latte. It is absolutely delicious, and yes, I copied it from a nearby cafe. Anyway, after waxing poetic about how important it is to get 9 hours of sleep at night, guess who decidedly did not get 9 hours of sleep last night? Me. I got terrible sleep last night. I actually don't really even know why. Like, everything should have been fine, but I just didn't sleep. I think I was actually kind of excited about starting day one of my Preptober Reset. By the way, I should note that there's only going to be a day one featured in today's video. I don't know if there's even a point to go beyond one day. This is just me stepping into the routine, trying it all on for size, and I thought I would bring you guys along with me. But yeah, this is day one. Despite my bad sleep, I still got up at 5 o'clock and I tried to film it, but it was so dark outside, you guys. I actually can't even believe how dark it is in the morning already, even though I should, because we're almost into November now, Anna. Of course it's gonna be dark in the morning. Even though our bedroom is not attached to the living area, it still just didn't feel right to come out here and throw on all of the lights first thing in the morning. So I lit some candles, I used our cute little electric fireplace, and that was the only lighting that I needed. I got myself all set up in my favorite recliner, which you guys are actually sitting in right now. It has a heated seat that I use all the time. I absolutely love it. Got myself a pillow and a blanket and a coffee, and I started working on the chapter that I must complete today. I got the first scene in that chapter locked in, so that really feels good. However, I have one more scene to write before I can call this chapter completed. I did have to stop after that one scene though, because I am tired, and I do not write well when I'm tired. It makes me so irritated because I can tell that the quality is not up to my standard, but we're just focusing on writing. We're just getting the chapter finished. I keep promising myself that I'll just work on it later and polish everything up later, because obviously I will, but it's irritating nonetheless. I spent the rest of the morning working on some video footage. I was editing, I think, everything that you're probably gonna see before this clip in this vlog. I also think I got the thumbnail ready, which I'm working on. I am so lazy about the thumbnails, you guys. Like, I always forget to take a picture, and so that I have to kind of just comb through the existing video footage and see if I can find anything that will work, and I just throw it together. I'm for sure at some point in time going to update them all and change them because they are hideous, but I just don't care. I don't care. Anyway, I got all of that ready and out of the way, which does feel like a relief. And then I got a costume secured for Wednesday. If you guys didn't see my last video, I'm actually hosting live word sprints on Wednesday on Patreon via Discord. I'm really excited because it's gonna be Halloween themed, and I think that that's gonna be fun and very cute. So I got a costume for that. I got a mocktail recipe ready so that I can have a mocktail when I'm writing as well, and it's just gonna be fun and relaxing and great. But it felt good to get all of that off of my chest. Now I can focus on writing again. So despite the fact that I did not sleep, I did have a pretty productive morning, but like I said, I do need to finish one more scene in order to complete this chapter. But I'm tired, hence the matcha latte, hence me sitting here at nearly 2 p.m. kind of feeling like I'm dragging. The only thing left to do now is to pull upon my previous fail-safe options. We're gonna go outside. I didn't go to the gym this morning. I was too exhausted. So I definitely need movement, and I also could use some fresh air. So I thought I would sit down and just chat with you guys really quick, to give you an update before I go outside and I go to one of my favorite places. You know where we're going. The creek with the sycamore trees. It's like my favorite place on earth, and it's only, I think, a mile away from where I live. It's literally walking distance. I shouldn't drive. It's almost embarrassing that I drive because it's that close, but we're driving. With that being said, I'm gonna finish the rest of this delicious latte and take off, and you're coming with me, so let's go.
A smile upon your face, and I see something shimmering in your eyes. And they say if you want to glimpse the future, you need space. And you said you'll beside me in a whirl of thunder. Fear is an imposter. When you look at me this way, I find it hard to not give in. So the days became weeks, it felt just like the night before. You were slowly fading in my mind. When you left, I was so completely gone, but now I'm sure you were some of the best of things to find.
Okay, we're back. I know that I said I was just going to document one day, and I did technically only document one day. But I did want to sit down a few days later and just give you guys something of a recap, give you a report on how all of this is going, and it's going well, which I knew it would. This has worked for me for years, so of course it's gonna work for me now. I will say, for the last couple of days, I've struggled a little bit with getting up at 5 o'clock. This is less to do with the fact that I have trouble waking up in the morning, because I don't. I actually have no trouble waking up in the morning. It's more of me going to bed on time. And then in the morning, I'm stuck with this decision. Do I get up early and add those extra hours to my day, but feel sleep deprived? Or do I sacrifice a couple hours of my day and feel well rested? It can be kind of tough, because those are two really important components of this entire creative reset. So I have to sometimes choose between the two. And if I were to be completely honest, I do think that if you have to choose between the two, I would probably go somewhere in the middle ground, where you go to bed later, wake up earlier than you normally would, but not at 5 o'clock. Like, there's a way to kind of straddle the line, and that's what I've been doing. And I've noticed that it's definitely better to do that than to do neither. So if you are in a similar predicament, that's what I would recommend. That being said, I definitely have made a significant amount of progress on this draft. I got the additional scene written. I've progressed on to the next couple of chapters, which feels like a relief. I think proving to myself that adjusting my routine even slightly is just enough to get me back into a place where I'm looking at goals that are realistic again, instead of goals that are like impossible. I think the whole purpose of this video is just to demonstrate how a simple change in your routine can really make all the difference. I do have this really frustrating proclivity for overcomplicating things. So if I sit down and I want to schedule out a new routine, I do exactly what I said I do at the beginning of the month in November. I start to add all of these different goals. I start to romanticize the entire thing. I try to strive for this idealized version of myself that is completely unrealistic. And then I set myself up with a schedule that is not sustainable. If I were to summarize this entire video in a thesis statement, I might go so far as to say, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Simplicity is better than overcomplicating things. I know sometimes it seems like you need something that's a little more complicated or a little bit more of a challenge in order to get to where you want to go, but honestly, simplicity is better. It's going to get you to where you need to go, and it's not going to be something that's unsustainable long term. I'm going to keep working on my circadian rhythm. I'm quite confident that I'll be able to get myself into a place where I'm waking up at 5 o'clock naturally every morning. The key truly is to go to bed early, and that is way harder for me than waking up early. I have to go to bed at like literally 8:30 and be asleep by 9 o'clock in order for all of this to work. And that is tough, especially because I've been reading a really good book, which I will discuss in another video, but that's been causing me to lose some sleep. Anyway, if you guys are trying on for size, a Preptober reset, a creative reset, any sort of adjustment in your routine that is meant to support your writing endeavors and your writing goals, I hope that you will consider some of the things that I discussed in today's video, because they are, again, my tried and true strategies They never fail me.
I don't know what it means, but there's a smile upon your